Welcome to the Contractor Safety and Environmental Guidelines presentation for the Rhode Island State Energy Facilities. Please turn off or mute all cell phones, pagers, and any other electronic devices during this presentation, as it has been developed to ensure the safety of all contractors and plant personnel. The RISE facilities were certified under the OSHA Voluntary Protection Program in 2009, and we take the safety of our personnel and contractors very seriously. Any questions or comments can be directed to your contractor coordinator at the end of the presentation. Additionally, you will be asked to sign an acknowledgement form at the end of this program, which will be kept on record at the facility. The purpose and the scope of this presentation is to establish safety and environmental orientation requirements for all contractor personnel who will be performing work here at the RISE facilities, which includes the power plant in Johnston and Supplemental Treatment Facility, or STF, in Cranston. These guidelines are not intended to supersede or replace the health and safety requirements contained in the contractor's purchase order or any other applicable health and safety regulations. All contractors must comply with all applicable laws pertaining to the health, safety, or the environment. Responsibilities. A RISE contractor coordinator is assigned to oversee all on-site contractor work activity. The contractor coordinator will be responsible for ensuring the contractor performs all work in accordance with the guidelines established in this presentation. The contractor coordinator will consult the production tech leader and/or the production manager in cases involving violation of the site safety requirements. In cases involving violations of the requirements, contractor personnel may be immediately removed from the site. The contractor supervisor is responsible for assuring that the contractor personnel abide by the site safety and environmental requirements reviewed in this presentation. The contractor supervisor is responsible for ensuring that his or her personnel have received the proper environmental, safety, and health training required to perform their work assignment. This is to include any federal and/or state required training. Emergencies. Be sure to report any emergency immediately upon discovery to the control room, either by radio operated on channel 1 or by telephone. To report an emergency by telephone, dial extension 555 from any phone in the plant. You can also use a cell phone by dialing the plant number 401-946-2883 and then dial an extension 555. You will be connected to the RISE control room. An individual reporting an emergency should provide at least the following information. 1. The location of the emergency, and 2. Specific information about the emergency. For example, whether there are injuries, number of injuries, fire presence, etc. There is no first aid facility at RISE plant. In the event of medical incident, contractor personnel shall immediately attend to their own injured personnel. Emergency medical assistance should be obtained immediately by contacting the control room at extension 555. The control room personnel will contact local emergency medical services. Please do not contact 911 directly during a medical emergency. This will prevent an organized emergency response from occurring. RISE plant evacuation procedure. In the event of fire or evacuation alarm, proceed immediately to the designated muster point. The fire alarm at RISE is an electronic, high-pitched alarm that can be heard throughout the plant. The primary muster area is Gate A, contractor or front gate. Please use the sidewalks provided when entering or exiting the plant. Do not walk on the streets. The secondary muster area is Gate B, located next to the retention pond. Assembly at the primary muster point is near the primary muster point sign behind the guard shack. During a plant evacuation, all contractor personnel should remain with their designated contractor supervisor at the muster point until further instruction is provided. The contractor supervisor is responsible for account for his or her contractor employees in the event of an evacuation. General safety rules. If a guard is not present at the front gate, all contractors and visitors must check in at the RISE Plan Administration Building and follow the log in and log out process. There is a 10-mile-per-hour speed limit on RISE Plan premises. Seat belts must be worn at all times or riding in vehicles, and riding on the back of pickup trucks is prohibited. All contractor personnel shall park only in designated parking areas while on site. Smoking at the RISE facility is only permitted in designated locations near the administration building. Ask your contractor coordinator for the location of the designated smoking areas. Under no circumstance should smoking occur elsewhere on the site. Photographs of the RISE facility and equipment shall only be taken with permission of site management. In cases where such approval is given, under no circumstances are pictures to be taken of any personnel. No drinking alcoholic beverages on site, including the parking lot and access roads, cannot be under the apparent influence of alcohol or drugs while performing work at the RISE plant. No gambling, no possession of firearms, no sleeping on the job, no theft of any kind, no fighting, no willfully damaging RISE facilities or third parties' property. No rings, jewelry, wristwatches, keychains should be worn while in the power block. Use of the RISE administration building facilities is restricted to RISE personnel. As a contractor, please limit use of the administration building services while working at the RISE plant. Personal protective equipment. While working on site, safety glasses with side shields, hearing protection, hard hats, and steel-toe work shoes shall be worn at all times as per OSHA regulations and site requirements. Safety harnesses and other protective equipment shall be worn as required when working from unguarded platforms, scaffolds, man lifts, or other structures without guardrails. Fall protection is required when at heights 4 feet above the ground or within 15 feet of unprotected sides. This equipment must be inspected regularly. Defective equipment shall not be used and shall be replaced immediately. Hearing protection is required in the power block and some other areas of the facility. Signs are posted at the doors or on the perimeter of all areas where hearing protection is required. Hearing protectors are provided at most exits or entrances to structures by the RISE plant as a convenience to its contractors. A pair of gloves should also be on your person at all times when performing work. Gloves should be used whenever hand injury hazards are present. The gloves should protect against the hazards present. Work clothes shall meet the following requirements. Pant length must extend below the ankles, and all shirts shall have at least a 4-inch sleeve. Pants and shirts shall meet OSHA regulations when working around electrical equipment or hot work areas. No tank tops or shorts are permitted on the RISE site. Behavior-based safety. Safety and accident prevention is of the utmost importance on all jobs. Behavior-based safety observations, BBSO, will be performed with contractors, vendors, and employees. Please do not be alarmed if a RISE plant employee is observing your work. It is part of our plant safety culture to perform BBSOs on contractors and RISE plant employees. Tailboard. Contractors are expected to complete a pre-job safety discussion, job safety analysis, tailboard, risk assessment, or toolbox safety meeting or pre-job safety meeting in accordance with their company's policy. The RISE Contractor Coordinator will verify that a safety meeting took place and obtain a copy of the contractor's pre-job safety meeting form. The contractor's pre-job safety meeting form will be kept on file by the shift PTL in the control room for the duration of the work. On completion of the work, the contractor's form will be discarded unless there has been an event that requires further analysis. Safety program. Contractors shall have and maintain an active safety program that instills and emphasizes the importance of working in a manner that ensures the safety of contractor employees and others. Your RISE Contractor Coordinator may request review and approve such a program. Under no circumstances is a contractor or vendor to use any RISE plant tools or equipment as written in the corporate policy. Contractors and vendors are to provide all of their own tools and equipment for performing and completing a job. Contractors' tools and equipment shall be clearly marked prior to arrival on site. Deliveries of materials for the contractor must be made through the contractor front gate. All contractor trailers, vehicles, toolboxes, lunch boxes, etc. are subject to inspection. Personal property will be inspected with the employee present. Miscellaneous safety. It is a company safety requirement that no wooden or metal portable ladders be used on the plant premises. Certified fiberglass ladders only may be used. Aisles, walkways, and stairways shall be kept clear of debris, tooling, boxes, parts, electrical cords, hoses, etc. Hoses and electrical cords shall be run overhead so as not to present a tripping hazard. Spills shall be cleaned up promptly and barricaded to prevent a potential hazard to personnel. When working outdoors, jobs that produce light material that can be blown by wind shall be contained. Aerial man lifts, forklifts, and mobile cranes. All contractors must be properly licensed where applicable and trained before operating any aerial man lifts, forklifts, or mobile cranes at the RISE plant. Your contractor coordinator will be requesting proof of licensure and training prior to use of this equipment at the RISE plant. No vehicles shall be allowed in the plant site except those approved by the RISE contractor coordinator. All vehicles entering the plant site shall have the company identification clearly visible. Contractor shall provide to the RISE contractor coordinator a list of names of the personnel qualified or licensed to operate equipment and verification that said personnel have completed the physical and operating requirements of the appropriate OSHA standard. Only those employees qualified or licensed to operate equipment shall be authorized to operate vehicles, forklifts, trucks, and mobile cranes on the plant site. A spotter is required whenever operating an aerial man lift, forklift, or other mobile equipment within the plant. All operation of mobile equipment within confined areas of the plant should be coordinated with a RISE contractor coordinator. Additionally, required safety checks should be performed and documented on all mobile equipment at least daily. Barrier tapes. Caution, black and yellow barrier tape indicates hazardous work is in progress and personnel shall take care prior to entering caution type barrier tape area. Danger, black and red barrier tape means do not enter the area as immediate danger exists. If your work scope creates a hazard to personnel, the work area must be barricaded using yellow, black, caution, or black and red danger tape. Caution or danger tags are to be placed on all barrier tapes explaining the hazard and signed by the installer. Your contract coordinator must approve the use of danger tape prior to placement. Ladders, scaffolds, and platforms. Ladder tie-offs are required for all contractor ladders used in the plant. 3 points of contact are required when climbing or descending ladders, platforms, or stairwells within the rise facilities. As discussed previously, no metal portable ladders are allowed within the rise facilities. Only fiberglass ladders allowed. All scaffolding used in the rise plant will have a required inspection sheet. Additionally, the rise plant utilizes a scaffold tagging system. Green tags indicate no restrictions. Yellow tags may require use of harness. Please check the yellow scaffold tag, which indicates whether a harness is required prior to entering any yellow tag scaffold. Red tags indicate do not enter and are only used during erection and dismantling. Always check the inspection sheet and scaffold tag and assure that scaffold is safe for entry prior to entering any scaffold. Compressed gases. Let's take a moment to review compressed gas requirements at the rise facilities. Cylinders containing compressed gases should always be stored upright with their caps in place in approved safe locations, away from highly combustible material, as well as separated from radiators, furnaces, and other sources of heat. Cylinders shall never be subject to temperatures above 125 degrees Fahrenheit. Bottled flammable gases such as hydrogen and liquefied petroleum shall be stored in designated locations. Cylinders of compressed gases shall be transported only when they are properly secured in their upright position with caps in place. Cylinder valves should be closed at all times unless in active use. If a cylinder leaks, attach a tag stating that the cylinder is unserviceable, remove to a well-ventilated area, and contact the rise contractor coordinator to resolve disposition. Additionally, cylinders shall not be placed where they may become part of an electrical circuit. Fuel and oxygen cylinders shall not be transported in an elevator at the same time. A minimum of 20 feet separation is necessary between fuel and oxygen cylinders in storage areas. All valves, cylinders, regulators, and hoses shall be kept free from oil and greasy substances. Flashback protective devices shall be used. No cylinders shall be taken into confined spaces. Lockout, tagout, in-plant clearance. We will now begin a discussion of 3 very important safety programs. Lockout, tagout, also called in-plant clearance at NextEra Energy, confined space entry, and hot work. Contractor personnel should not attempt to work on any piece of energized equipment or machinery without fully reviewing and complying with the requirements specified in the NextEra Energy Resources in-plant clearance procedure. Your contractor coordinator will train you on any aspects of the in-plant clearance program that you as a contractor or vendor are required to implement. After orientation, the contractor will certify that he or she understands the in-plant clearance procedure. Failure to comply with the requirements specified in the procedure will result in immediate removal from the site. Here are some additional highlights of the NextEra in-plant clearance program. Contractor supervisor is responsible for verifying clearance boundaries, ensuring that all potential energy sources have been removed or isolated prior to contractor's employees beginning work. The NextEra Energy Resources contractor coordinator will explain boundaries of any clearances that will affect your work and walk down the boundaries with your contractor, supervisor, and employees if requested. A copy of the NextEra Energy Resources in-plant clearance procedure will be provided upon request to contractors who are clearance holders. Contractor supervisor is responsible for verifying clearance boundaries. The contractor supervisor is required to complete and place a contractor supervisor clearance tag according to the in-plant clearance procedure. Each affected contractor employee required to exercise a clearance must complete a contractor identification tag prior to beginning work. All clearances and associated boundaries are controlled by the NextEra Energy clearance tags. No tagged equipment may be operated while clearance tags are in place. These tags can only be removed in accordance with the NextEra Energy Resources in-plant clearance procedure. Clearance tags will remain on the equipment until the equipment is released to service and placed back in operation by the appropriate plant personnel. When releasing a clearance, the contractor coordinator shall ensure that all contractors and employees that are clearance holders are signed off the clearance before the clearance is released. Confined space entry. Contractors and vendor personnel shall not enter any locations that are accompanied with a confined space permit required label. Confined spaces can include such areas as transformers, tanks, vessels, boilers, hoppers, steam drums, condensers, manholes, exhaust and ventilation ducts, etc. These spaces are large enough and so configured that a person can enter and perform work. However, there are limited means for entry and exit, and the space is not designed for continuous human occupancy. Contractors working in confined spaces must have an active confined space program, which includes up-to-date training of those personnel working in confined spaces. All contractors must follow their own confined space procedure, as well as provide their own hazardous gas monitor. Confined space permit must be issued by the contractor for his personnel prior to entry. Contractors working in a confined space or hazardous gaseous environment must first have the confined space thoroughly surveyed by their qualified employee. Contractors' confined space entry program and training records shall be subject to review by the RISE contractor coordinator prior to confined space work being performed. Hot work. Contractor and vendor personnel should not attempt to do work such as burning, welding, soldering, grinding, or any work that might create an ignition source without receiving a hot work permit before beginning work. The original hot work permit is to be posted at the job site. A hot work permit is normally only issued for one shift. Please speak with your RISE contractor coordinator if a hot work permit is required. Stick welding on chrome containing metals, high heat plasma, cutting on metals, containing or coated with chrome containing materials, abrasive blasting of structures coated with paint containing hexavalent chrome may be subject to OSHA's hexavalent chromium standard, 29 CFR 1910.1026. OSHA's hexavalent chromium standard may require medical surveillance, use of respirators, engineering controls, special housekeeping, training, and record keeping for subject workers. Hazard communication. Contractor shall inform RISE contract representative in advance and get prior approval for all hazardous materials contractor intends to bring onto RISE property. No hazardous materials should be brought on site unless required in the performance of the work. Contractors shall provide MSDS sheets in quantities for all products brought on site to the RISE contractor coordinator. Hazardous materials should be replaced with non-hazardous materials whenever possible. Review MSDS sheets provided for substances present in contractor's work area. Hazardous materials containers shall be labeled using HMIS NFPA diamond labeling system to clearly identify the content of the container. Material is transferred from the original container to another container. Both containers shall be clearly labeled. Bulk chemical. It is extremely important that all contractors are aware of the potential on-site hazardous chemicals and gases. All MSDSs can be found in the RISE control room or are available electronically through your contractor coordinator. Please take a moment to view the bulk hazardous chemicals designated locations. 19% aqueous ammonia is located near the HRSG. OptiSperse 3102, a phosphate-based boiler chemical, and 26% ammonia are located on the ground level of the steam turbine building. Additionally, bulk 12.5% sodium hypochlorite and GenGuard GN 7004 can be found in the Circ Water Chemical Building located north of the steam turbine building. The supplemental treatment facility has bulk quantities of coagulant clarade PC 2701, flocculant polyfloc CE 1159, and 12.5% sodium hypochlorite located on the ground level. 12.5% sodium hypochlorite is also stored in lower level of the STF. Now please take a moment to review the hazardous gases and locations within the RISE plant. We have bulk hydrogen located in storage bullets located northeast of the steam turbine building. Cylinder gases are located in a covered area west of the admin building. Carbon dioxide is located in gas cylinders located in the steam turbine building and in the combustion turbine fire protection systems located in the combustion turbine building. Natural gas is located in the gas yard adjacent to the administration building and in and around the combustion turbine building. The RISE facilities do have additional hazards to be aware of during your work activities. There are lead-acid batteries, multiple restricted locations around the site. The high and medium voltage equipment around the RISE facilities. Please be sure to keep proper distances from the high voltage lines and observe all high and medium voltage warning signage throughout the sites. The RISE facilities have both asphalt paving and crushed rock in numerous locations. There is also potential tripping hazards in which contractors must be aware of. Remember to always keep your eyes on path to potential trips, slips, falls, etc. Additionally, the RISE facilities utilize treated effluent sourced from the City of Cranston Water Pollution Control Facility as processed water. Please remember to use chemical protective gloves if your job requires direct contact with the RISE processed water. Also, remember to utilize good hygiene practices and wash your hands after contact with the processed water or related equipment. Any questions or concerns on these hazards, please direct to the NextEra Contractor Coordinator. Environmental spill or leaks. Now we begin the environmental portion of the presentation. If a spill or leak occurs of any hazardous or non-hazardous chemical or treated wastewater, the RISE plant control room should be notified immediately by dialing extension 555. Do not attempt to clean up any spill, but make every effort to prevent the spill or leak from entering any storm water system. Any vehicle or operating equipment such as aerial lifts, mobile compressors, forklifts, man lifts, mobile cranes, etc. that are brought on RISE plant property by a contractor are required to be pre-inspected and in satisfactory working order with no fluid leaks. Additionally, daily checks of the mobile equipment while on site should be performed to assure that the equipment is operating safely and without any leaks. All operating equipment may be subject to inspection by RISE plant employees. Contractors are responsible for the cleanup of any operating equipment, fluid leaks, or spills at their own expense. Additionally, tops or secondary containments are required when parking any mobile equipment on pervious surfaces of the plant. Primarily, efforts shall be taken to reduce or eliminate waste generation. Secondarily, efforts shall be taken to reuse or recycle waste. Clearly label all waste containers with a waste description, that is, oily rags, used oil, etc. We maintain a very high standard of cleanliness at the RISE plant. We expect all contractors to actively participate by cleaning up all debris, trash, and leftover materials from their work areas. Satellite waste storage areas have been established throughout the RISE plant for used oil, state-regulated hazardous waste, waste oily debris, non-regulated waste. Additionally, the following waste streams are recycled by the RISE plant. Cardboard should be deposited in the marked cardboard-only dumpster located in the maintenance yard area. Metal scrap should be deposited in the marked scrap metal dumpster located in the maintenance yard area. Universal hazardous waste, that is batteries, CRTs, light bulbs, and miscellaneous electronics generated by a contractor shall be properly managed. See your NextEra Energy Resources contractor representative for proper management of universal hazardous waste. Please note, the following used items may not be placed in the general trash: aerosol cans, fluorescent bulbs, and oily debris or rags. Contractors are required to take back all commercial chemical products remaining from work activities unless previously approved arrangements are made with the RISE site management. If waste cannot be identified or for special waste disposal arrangements, contact your RISE contractor coordinator. Physical and cyber security guidelines. Protect personnel and equipment. Report unusual occurrences at RISE facilities, including threats, violence, sabotage, and vandalism. If safety may be at risk, leave the area and contact security operations. Under no circumstances should personnel put themselves in harm's way. Only authorized personnel are allowed to access, modify, or operate systems or equipment. If you are not authorized or qualified, do not touch or operate equipment. Do not connect any device, including USB devices, into any NextEra system or equipment without the proper authorization. Where applicable, you must obtain the proper clearances. Protect sensitive information associated with systems, programs, or equipment. Properly use and control equipment such as laptops, especially if used to access, set up, or calibrate critical systems or equipment. Do not share sensitive information such as passwords. Never circumvent an access point or a security measure. This includes, but is not limited to, tailgating, propping a security door open, sharing of badges, and tampering with door locking devices. Report security events or suspicious activities to NextEra Security Operations 561-694-5000. Visitor Safety Information Sheet. All contractor and vendor personnel are invited to take a RISE Plant Visitor Safety Information Sheet. The Visitor Safety Information Sheet lists in detail the potential hazards, the evacuation procedure with muster station, and plant emergency contact numbers. It also gives a detailed map layout of the RISE plant. This concludes the RISE Facilities Contractor Safety and Environmental Guidelines presentation. If you have any further questions, please see the RISE Contractor Coordinator, who will be collecting the Contractor Safety Guidelines acknowledgement form. Thank you for your time and attention, and please remember to work safely.